Hey guys, Joey from Booney's Garage. So, in the last video, I got the lift done on my WJ, but there's a couple other things that I want to get done. The first thing I wanted to get done was the rear bumper, and I actually did that while y'all weren't watching, I guess. I forgot to video it. But I installed a rock hard 4x4 rear bumper, done a little bit of stuff to it. I put a license plate bracket on. We're going to do a couple other things. Well, actually, I didn't put a license plate bracket. I just screwed the license plate to it, but we're going to fix that. And then I'm going to end up putting a stubby front bumper from HK Off-Road in here. And when I put that in, I'm going to mount a winch. I also want to put a new roof rack on it. So those are all things that I'm working on, and I'm waiting on parts to come in. But while I'm waiting on parts to come in, I'm going to do a couple of things to make my life easier. So whenever I was building that red Jeep over there, front differential is trashed on it right now. I've actually got to rebuild the front differential. More on that later, a couple months probably. But when I was building that Jeep, it was originally going to be a much less lifted Jeep. I was going to put 31s on it, do a very mild lift, and drive it around. And it kind of snowballed. So I have some parts left over from that build that I originally went with and then changed directions. I got some distribution blocks, just Amazon special distribution blocks. I've got some sway bar disconnects. Since I went with a different sway bar setup on that Jeep entirely, I just threw these in the back and kept them, but this Jeep has the JKS sway bars, so I'll be able to put these on so we can quick disconnect and just pin them up to the frame. Also, this Jeep originally came with, this WJ originally came with the factory 7-pin plug, right? So I'm going to be mounting this in this rear bumper, and I'll get a brake controller. It's coming. I've already ordered it, so it should be here next week. So I'm just trying to get a couple of little things knocked out to get this project off the ground and rolling. So first thing I'm going to do is take that hole saw, and after I find a good location for this, I'm honestly thinking about here on this lower angled flat, because this is actually a square tube, so, and it's a lot thick. I mean, this is pretty thick, but that's a heavy duty square tube. So I think I'm going to go ahead and just attach it through this sheet. So let's see what I got under here. So you can see this is the factory wiring harness for this 7-pin plug. So I kind of want to go up. If I tuck this back away from the edge, it'll give me plenty of room under here to connect the wire and everything. So I'm going to just kind of tuck it about right there. Find a location I like, mark my holes and drill it. All right, I've been drilling for a few minutes and I'm about most of the way through this. The center's punched out. In the dead center, it's a stepped drill bit in the center. And we're still plugging along. As soon as I get this thing out, I'll bring you back. All right. You can see I got it through. That thing's hot. All right. But there's my hole. So I'm going to clean this up good now and see if I can get my plug in place. Now this hole is about the same outer diameter as this, but you can see there's a little step here, so I might have to do some grinding. I guess we'll find out. Yep, I'm gonna have to do a little bit of grinding right up in the top there. It's not a big deal. All right, cool. So you ever do something just completely boneheaded and you just have to lay on your creeper and be like, yeah, I just did that. So pro tip, whenever you're trying to get something plastic set into something metal and it won't quite sit flush, the answer is not a hammer. And I knew that, but in my hubris, I was like, you know what? It'll be fine. This one time, it'll be fine. And it was not fine. So I chipped the edge of the plastic. Now, luckily, it didn't get into the actual plug itself. Everything's fine. And it is on an angle that nobody will see it, but I'll always know it's there. And it's always going to bother me. Yeah. Okay, so here's the thing. There's nowhere to mount in here. There's a lot of room, or not a lot of room available in this engine compartment. But what I have found is a flat spot here, right above the wheel well and the shock tower area. So I've got some room right in here. And then I can come up some. I've got an angle grinder. And I've got metal and a Sharpie. So we're just going to work on making a bracket that'll mount up in there. And then I'll have my distribution blocks, and it'll be easier to wire in other stuff. So I'm going to work on designing an angle bracket. All right, and as simple as that, we bent up a bracket, popped it in, made our little place for our distribution blocks, and yeah, that's all there is to it. So that's done. I've got the lift done, tires done, locker, new lift done, tires done. Barrett, cut like the last couple of seconds out of this and we'll start fresh. So basically where I'm at right now is I've got the lift done with the Iron Rock Off-Road 4-inch lift, shocks, tires, rear bumper. I've got a front bumper on order from HK Off-Road. I'm waiting for it to get here. I'm going to be putting a roof rack on today and then mounting some accessories because, like I said, this is going to be a camping and road trip vehicle for us. So today I'm going to be working on putting that roof rack together and getting it installed. I got new Tom Woods drive shafts in there. Let me tell you, if you're looking for a good quality drive shaft with amazing customer service, Tom Woods is the way to go, man. They make such good quality products, and you can literally call them and speak to them on the phone. Like, they'll just walk you through the process. Super easy, super good guys. It's money well spent. If you need drive shafts, Tom Woods, they're awesome. So, anyway, that's where we're at. Let me get this camera set up and we'll start pulling this roof rack out and seeing how we get it built. The roof rack I'm putting on today is from Goliath Off-Road, and it's a low profile roof rack with a drop front so I can install a light bar, and yeah, we'll go from there. All right, so we got the roof rack unpacked. Let me show you what came in the package. All right, so here's the header bar with the dropped front portion so I can install a light. Here's gonna be the side rails, and then here's the mounting brackets. So what I'm gonna do is, oh yeah, look at this. Came with a couple of cool stickers. I'm always a big fan of stickers. So what I'm going to do is clean these really good, and And I like using brake cleaner. I spray brake cleaner on a rag, wipe everything down real good, make sure all the packing tape is off, make sure that there's not any residual grease or anything like that. And then, so very low tech on sawhorses for stuff like this. And it is, like I said, cool and a little damp out here. And I definitely wouldn't do a car paint job with this kind of weather, but for something like this, I have no problem spraying it. It'll take a little longer to dry than it would if it was a nice bright sunny day, but it'll be fine. But what I like doing is painting the hidden sides first, because what's going to happen inevitably when you're doing something like this is you're going to paint it, and then you're going to get excited about it, and you're going to roll it over a little too soon, and you might get a scuff or something on the bottom side. So I like the sides that are going to be exposed the most to have the cleanest looking paint job. So I always paint them second. So let me go ahead and get all my stuff together to clean these and start painting them, and I'll bring you back. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is take some brake cleaner and spray it on a shop towel, and then I'm just going to wipe everything down, get all the packing grease and everything I can off of this metal. And then when I'm done with that, I'll go, there's a couple of spots that the tape didn't come off easily. I've got some Scotch-Brite pads that I'll hit that with, and then that should be good. It should be ready to go for paint. So let's get started. And all right, guys, this is why I always wipe down metal before I paint it, because it's going to be covered in just dirt and cack and grease, and yeah, just clean your stuff. It'll make your paint job go a lot better. Even if it is just a rattle can paint job, you might as well make it look as good as you can. Something else to be aware of, red Scotch-Brite, I buy this stuff by the case. It is so good for working on just cleaning up little imperfections and stuff in metal, scuffing paint, all that kind of stuff. This is worth having around in a shop. All right, so I went ahead and sprayed these down and cleaned them up good, but let me show you something. So this is all the tackiness of the tape that got scrubbed off whenever I wiped it down with the red Scotch-Brite. So now I'm just going to clean these ends up again just a little bit. All right, now that all these are cleaned up and ready for paint, I'm going to show you my favorite paint. So if you're just painting like accessories and that kind of thing, one of my favorite paints in the world is the Rust-Oleum 2x Ultra Cover. It's paint and primer. It holds up extremely well. It's super easy to touch up. I like the semi-gloss, but let me show you. So this was painted with this paint. Actually, the wheel wells and the roof were painted with this paint. Or I'm sorry, fender trim, you know what I mean. And then over here, the trailer that me and Barrett built, all the black was painted with this paint. It holds up really well, and as I get rock kicks on this, there's nothing to hit it with a scratchy pad and, you know, re-hit it with this stuff. It cleans up super easy, and it covers really well. Super easy to touch up. So if you're looking for a general all-purpose black paint to paint automotive accessories, things that you don't mind being out in the weather hard, this stuff is the way to go. I buy this by the 12 pack. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and get a first coat on this, and then it's starting to rain, but I'm under cover. I think it'll be all right. So I'm going to hit this, and then it'll probably take a couple hours to dry. So we'll start there. All right, now that's painted, and it's just gonna sit for a couple hours while it dries. Hopefully it'll dry, given this weather. I actually saw a couple of pieces of hail while I was painting falling, so this may not work out so well, but we're gonna figure it out. In the meantime, I am gonna go make my wife happy and go do some laundry. All right, guys. So I came back. It's about an hour later. The paint's dry to the touch, but it still feels a little, I guess, soft is the best word to describe it. It's dry to the touch, but it's going to need to cure a little more before I bolt everything together. But it was good enough to flip over. It's not scuffing and all of that, so we're going to paint the back sides of everything good, and then, you know, go do something else for a couple hours, and then we'll come back and check on it. All right, we'll come back and check on that in a couple hours. So I think the ADD fairy came and put this together while I was busy, like, I don't know, not paying attention to what I was doing. Yeah, so the roof rack, I've been, you know, I've slapped it together, and then I was like, oh, I didn't film any of that. But basically, all of these cross racks here, all of these cross bars for the roof rack come pre-threaded, and then they come with the hardware, and you just put the washer on and screw them in. You do that on every bar, and then the front, the wind deflector, you screw it in, and then on the back side it has a 10 millimeter lock washer. So I mean, sorry, not lock washer, lock nut. And yeah, that's it. You just zip it together. It took me about 30 minutes all in to put that together. Really was pretty easy. So I'm gonna back my WJ in here and start figuring out how to pull off the old roof rack. All right, so I got my WJ in here, and I've popped off the little plastic covers that cover the ends on all four corners. And now I'm just gonna get my impact and pull out the 5 screws on each side that hold everything in. We'll pop this rack off and then move on to the next step. So. All right. Let me go get the other side. so it's sitting on top of the Jeep, roughly centered. So now I'm going to get some brackets and see if I can figure out how to get it mounted and up there. So this is actually way simple. The brackets, as you can see, actually go right into the old mounting holes for the original roof rack. And so you just line everything up, screw them in, and then lift the rack up, get everything aligned, and put the side bolts in. So I'll bring you back in a minute. All right, everybody, I got my roof rack put on. Basically, once I got these bolts into the brackets and tightened down, then I was able to just kind of wiggle it, center everything up, and tighten the screws that hold it to the roof. Done, man. I'm pretty happy with that install. The next thing I'm working on is, let me flip this around. All right, so I happened to look on Facebook Marketplace, which is, you know, like basically my crack. And I found this 6-foot awning. It's never been used. I opened it up. It's brand new. It still is factory rolled. As well as these 4 lights. I paid $150 for that awning and these lights. That awning there, I looked it up, that's about $150 to $175 online. This one Raxium light here is about $150. And then these other 3 lights are from a company called Nightlight. You can buy them off of Amazon. They're like Amazon special Chinese lights. They're not great, but actually the light bar on the red Jeep right there is a Nightlight, and it's done decent for me for years. It doesn't have the best beam pattern, but it is very bright. So I think what I'm going to do is put the Raxium under the front bumper whenever my new front bumper comes in. I've got a bumper and winch coming up, and so I'll mount it tucked up in there. So I'll have good a good floodlight down on the bottom to see, you know, where I'm at really easily. And then I'll put one of these on each side, kind of pointing down, like kind of, I'll put it like right back here and kind of point it this way. Do that on both of those. And then I'll put one on the back, kind of pointing down as well. And that way I can turn that on, and those 3 lights will give me like light around my Jeep, like whenever I've made camp for the evening. Now I have some different lights that I'm going to be putting across here, but basically for $150 I got about, I don't know, what is that, $350 worth of lights and awning, which I wanted anyway. So finding it on Facebook Marketplace definitely saving me a good bit of money on this. So let me get my stuff together and I'll see about getting those installed, and I'll bring you back. All right, guys, so I went ahead and got the what is it called, the awning installed. And honestly, man, it's been raining on me on and off all day, even though I've been undercover. I ran out of steam, man. So I'm done for today, but y'all will see me like this. So back finally. It's been 2 days. It literally rained here for like 2 days. We actually got snow in the middle of it. But you can see I got some blue skies back there. There's some cloud cover, but hey, I'll take it. It's pretty nice today. So out here, I'm going to be working on installing a bunch of stuff on my roof rack. So what I have here, let me flip. I have lights. I have lights. I have a light switch panel. That is a propane tank holder. Here is an old case, like a Pelican style case from Harbor Freight, one of the Apache cases. I'm going to put that on top for additional storage. I have a road shower in here, an off-brand road shower. And in my shed, I'm about to go get a shower enclosure so that you can hang it off the side of the car and keep yourself dry, or keep yourself modest from passerby while you take a shower. So it's a lot going on, but let me get everything out and get set up and we'll get started. All right, so One of the things I got to do before I mount a bunch of this stuff is modify some bolts so that they fit in the channels. So I've got a bunch of bolts that I bought from my local hardware store, but you can see this vise lives its life under the carport. The jaws are all shot. This is my just like beater working vise. But apparently I lost the pin for the washer that holds this jaw in place on the screw. So I'm going to go ahead and grease this up, grease the slide and the screw up, so I can get this washer slid back and put a new pin through it. So I'm going to do that real quick, and then we'll see about jumping on the actual project. Alright, as you can see, I've greased the whole thing pretty liberally, and I put my cotter pin, I captured this washer again, put my cotter pin in here and spread it. Now I'm just going to run this in and out a couple of times, and then I'm going to try to get 2 of these caught in the jaws, and that way I can just barely thread one of my one of my bolts into each one, and then it'll set them up as a little grinder station, and I can stand here and just knock a bunch out all at once, kind of assembly line. Alright, so as you see, I have these nuts clamped in here on the vise, and then I've got my bolts just threaded in. These are carriage head bolts. But to fit in the rails, basically what you have to do is trim 2 sides of it so they slide in. So I'll get those knocked out, and then I'll show you what they look like and how they fit. Alright, so you'll see what I did here is basically take those carriage head bolts and cut off 2 sides, just grind them flat. And that should drop right into the channel that is on my roof rack. It's worked for mounting the awning, so that should be just fine. And this is what we're going to use to attach most all of our stuff. You can see I've done a pile of them here. So let me get some stuff laid out. The key is I have enough stuff up here that I really need to pay attention to my layout. So I want to look at everything and decide what order they're going to go in. Because when you put stuff on this roof rack, here, I'll show you. They go into these channels. Now there's channels on top and there's channels on all 4 sides. But what you have to do is pull these screws, and then you lift the bar up and slide the nuts or the bolts into the channel that you want to utilize. So if, for instance, I've got the roof rack on that end back there, if I want to put a light bar here and I want to attach, say, one end of my shower down here, when I take these off, I only want to lift it once and slide all the carriage bolts in that I need, and then I can come back down and secure it and line those carriage bolts up. So I'm going to take a few minutes and figure out my layout, and then we can start deciding how many bolts are going where and set this thing up. Alright, so like I was showing you, you take the 2 screws out of the frame rail, and then you lift it up and you have these channels, and you can just slide these in, and that's kind of how you get it all lined up. Now I need 4 in this groove and 2 in this groove. Alright, so those are all in there now, so now I can put this back on and capture that. And you can see I've got all my screws laid out for the rest of it as well. Alright guys, so I spent about 2 hours measuring things and putting everything where it belongs and getting the bolt holes lined up and getting everything sorted. So let's flip it around and I'll show you what I got. So I got 4 lights across the front, and those are just some good bright lights that'll lighten up the trail. I have this case from Harbor Freight, this Apache case. That's just a storage container. I have my road shower there. I have my propane tank mounted, and let me show you this. So I didn't like the way the bolt holes are spaced, so I just have it mounted in the back, and then I have it just strapped down in the front. I don't like that. I'm gonna have to do something about that. Got my awning, which y'all saw last time, a pod light on either side to shine light onto the sides of the vehicle when we're camped somewhere. Light on the back, throw some light backwards, right? I got my jerry can and my water can. Here I have my shower awning, so this opens up and it makes a little shower room right here, which is great because it's right behind the road shower. So yeah, that's what we got done today. I have to wire up all the lights, so that's going to be an adventure in and of itself. And then I'm still waiting on my front bumper to come in so I can get this replaced. But I think this is about what we're going to get to until more stuff shows up from, you know, the different places I ordered from. So we'll keep plugging away at it, and I'll be back as soon as I have some more parts. We appreciate you. Thank you for watching. God bless.